This is the story of a boy named Kenta who possesses overwhelming power. People constantly beg him to inherit the power that once defeated the Demon King, but he refuses without hesitation. He clearly remembers the day he was forcibly summoned to another world against his will. The humans of that world used him as a weapon and forced him to eliminate demons. The Demon King, upon seeing him, realizes he has been summoned from another world. He cannot understand why an outsider is involved in their war. Kenta remains silent, unable to respond. The Demon King begins to see him as someone who can easily kill them. He is no longer seen as an outsider. In panic and rage, he unleashes his magic to kill him. Kenta faces the attack and blocks it using his magic. The Demon King struggles to comprehend such an incomprehensible and unnatural form of magic. With a sense of regret, Kenta releases his full power and delivers a decisive strike, ultimately defeating the Demon King. After the Demon King's defeat, there is no way for him to return to his original world. Instead, he is sentenced to death simply for being an outsider. Exhaustion and bitterness consume him. He grows completely fed up with that world and partially destroys the nation that summoned him. With no path home, he chooses to withdraw from everything. He retreats deep into a dangerous forest and begins a quiet life with his partner Maylene. She loves him deeply and cares for him without hesitation. He also trusts and cherishes her. In a world he sees as cruel and meaningless, Maylene becomes his only source of peace. As they live together in isolation, time begins to lose its meaning. One day, during a peaceful moment, Kenta suddenly feels his alarm magic activate. Maylene assumes it is linked to his past enemies. However, he senses multiple presences approaching. He immediately leaves to investigate. In another part of the forest, a princess arrives with her subordinates in search of Kenta. The king had confirmed his presence in the region. They move deeper into the forest but find nothing. Suddenly, Kenta appears in front of them. Shock spreads through the group, and the subordinates draw their weapons, demanding his identity. Kenta becomes instantly irritated and releases his power, forcing them to understand who stands before them. The subordinates react with anger, and tension rises. The princess steps forward and takes control of the situation. She apologizes for her subordinates and introduces herself as Victoria, the first princess of the Kingdom of Weimar. She also confirms that the man before her is Kenta. The subordinates grow more hostile, but she calms them and apologizes again, assuring him that no disrespect was intended. Kenta judges the situation as complicated and moves them to a quieter place. There, he asks their purpose. The princess requests his power. She explains that after he defeated the Demon King, the Demon Kingdom fell into chaos, but a new king rose and resumed attacks on human settlements. Despite their efforts, they struggle to resist because demon magic far exceeds human strength. She asks for the power of the one who once killed the Demon King. Kenta refuses firmly. He states that people treat others as tools and discard them when they are no longer useful. He sees no reason to help under such circumstances. The princess explains that the attacks were not carried out by their kingdom, but by a neighboring nation. Kenta responds that he once destroyed a large part of a nearby country, after which the entire world placed a bounty on him. Hearing this, her subordinate loses control and shouts insults. Tension rises as suspicion grows. They believe he may be hostile toward the kingdom of Lindor and may have released demons out of revenge. Kenta falls silent for a moment, then reminds them that he is the one who killed the Demon King and asks what he now represents to the demons. The subordinate declares him the sworn enemy who killed their king. Kenta challenges their belief that enemies can be easily controlled or persuaded. He criticizes their assumption that others will obey them automatically. He points out that they ask for help but resort to force when refused. The princess tries to defend their intent, but Kenta ends the discussion. He orders them to leave, calling them an eyesore. The princess tries to stop him, but his anger erupts. He firmly states that people should solve their own problems and accept defeat if they cannot. His magical power spreads across the surroundings, causing destruction. He questions why he should be responsible for their conflicts. He continues the destruction and warns them not to interfere in his life. He declares that he does not belong to this world and has no reason to fix it. The princess leaves in disappointment and apologizes for disturbing him. Her subordinates attempt to speak, but she silences them immediately and leads them away. Before leaving, she apologizes once more. Kenta also departs in frustration, knowing that Maylene is the only person who matters to him. He returns to her seeking comfort. At home, Maylene immediately senses his condition and asks about his well-being. She notices his unstable magical power. He reassures her and calmly explains everything. He tells her that humans tried to involve him in the war again, and he drove them away. Maylene feels saddened and blames herself for not handling the situation properly. He denies this and tells her that the fault lies with those who rejected her and refused to accept her as their queen. He promises that no one will ever interfere in their life again. She completely trusts him. She then assumes he must be hungry after using so much magic and begins preparing lunch. Watching her, Kenta reflects on how troublesome it is to investigate every magical disturbance and considers setting up a protective barrier. Suddenly, Maylene begins coughing violently and collapses. Shock overwhelms him. He immediately rushes toward her in panic and concern. Maylene recalls her childhood and remembers her father as a powerful and commanding figure. Other demons feared him deeply, yet he carried genuine concern for the future of the demon race. In her eyes, he was a kind and righteous king. At that time, humans and demons lived in the same world. Their appearances were similar, but their strengths differed. Humans possessed greater physical strength and stronger reproductive ability, while demons were gifted with magic. War erupted when humans launched an invasion. As conflict escalated, the demons eventually formed their own nation. She was born as the daughter of the demon lord. She knew her father held extraordinary charisma, even compared to past demon lords. However, her own magical ability was only at an average demon level. Because of this, many people were shocked and refused to believe she was truly his daughter. A major turning point came when members of their own community influenced her father. They convinced him that human magic was insignificant, and that the time had come to invade and dominate humanity. Maylene warned him not to underestimate humans and urged caution. Her father dismissed her concerns and assured her that everything would remain stable as long as he lived. He then declared to all demons that it was time to crush humanity. From that moment, the bond between father and king began to break apart. Maylene repeatedly begged him to stop the invasion, warning that continued war would bring heavy sacrifices. Her pleas were ignored. Her father accepted those losses as necessary. Meanwhile, humans summoned beings from another world and steadily reclaimed their territories, stopping the demon advance. Recognizing the growing threat, Maylene began investigating in secret. She witnessed something that deeply affected her. The otherworlders did not harm anyone who had no intention of fighting. They even warned enemies to retreat instead of killing them outright. This truth drew her closer to understanding them. However, suspicion grew within her own people. Some accused her of betraying her father and conspiring against him by using the otherworlder. She narrowly escaped execution and was instead ordered to carry out secretive punishment through covert duties. Later, her father assigned her to investigate remote demon territories. She understood that in demon society, power defined worth, and she lacked such strength. Many rejected her status as the demon lord's daughter. The deepest wound came when she realized her father trusted a rebellious subordinate more than his own daughter. During her journey to the territory, the situation changed suddenly. A group of demons appeared and launched a coordinated magical attack. Maylene raised a protective barrier and escaped on horseback. She demanded an explanation for their actions while knowing who she was. They confirmed their awareness of her identity and accused her of plotting to assassinate the demon lord. She defended herself with desperation, declaring she would never harm her father. The attackers believed her death would allow the demon lord to eliminate humanity without resistance. They pressed forward with full force. After enduring the assault, Maylene recognized them as a captain-class assault unit. This confirmed that someone of high authority had issued the order. A powerful subordinate stood behind the attack. She realized that many were blindly obeying her father without restraint. Fear and concern took hold of her. The attackers then declared her magic powerless against them and ordered her to die with dignity. They prepared to finish her. In that moment, Maylene understood a painful truth. If she died, her father would lose all restraint and continue the war until both humans and demons were destroyed. Yet she also understood that she had no means left to change the outcome. Just as despair set in, a figure suddenly appeared before her. The demons had not detected anyone beyond their group. They assumed any interference would be meaningless and prepared to eliminate the intruder as well. They were frozen in shock when they saw a human standing in their midst holding a sword. They unleashed their combined magic in a coordinated strike. A massive explosion followed. In disbelief, they saw the human standing protected by a barrier. A human using magic at that level defied their understanding. Without hesitation, the human countered with a single powerful sword strike and wiped them out completely. Behind him, the injured Maylene spoke weakly. She asked why he had helped her despite her being a demon. He replied simply that she was under attack. She then revealed her identity and stated that her father was the demon lord. She asked to be killed. That moment marked the first meeting between Maylene, the demon lord's daughter, and Kenta from another world. His fate-changing encounter with Maylene leads him straight to the demon lord. With her guidance, he defeats the demon lord without difficulty. After some time, they part ways. In the present moment, Kenta sees Maylene in this condition and becomes deeply concerned. He asks if she is alright or injured. She stops him from using healing magic and tells him to use detection magic instead, as she cannot use it properly at the moment. He immediately casts the spell. The scan reveals the truth and leaves him frozen in shock. He had already suspected it in silence. Both of them understand the meaning of the result. Maylene tells him that she is carrying his child. They embrace each other with quiet happiness. Kenta feels a deep change inside him. Ever since being summoned to this world and sentenced to death, he had carried endless hatred. He had often wished for the destruction of the world that rejected him. Years pass after that moment. He meets Maylene again during his journey. He also meets people he can call friends. His hatred slowly weakens. He no longer wishes for the destruction of the world as before. A few days later, Kenta is working on his protective barrier when a man suddenly appears. He calls out to him as the most vicious rogue transmigrator and introduces himself as Gyatso of the Whirlwind. He declares that he has come to claim the bounty on his head and challenges him. Kenta is focused on his magic when the man suddenly rushes in and attacks him with an axe. The strike has no effect at all. Kenta catches the axe with one hand without moving from his place. The man is left in complete shock. Kenta says that a sneak attack is exactly what he expected. He calls such behavior fit only for bandits. Hearing this, the man becomes furious and starts shouting insults at him. Kenta throws the axe back with force. He tells him to leave because he is busy. The man becomes terrified and runs away immediately. Kenta realizes he must complete the protective barrier without delay. Several days have passed since he learned about Maylene's pregnancy. His work is constantly interrupted by unwanted intruders. This delays everything and frustrates him. He increases his focus and pours great power into the protective barrier. He wants it strong enough to protect Maylene at all costs. Suddenly, hidden figures appear from the bushes. Kenta recognizes them and orders them to step out. They reveal themselves, and one of them is Knight Cyrus, who once accompanied the princess. He explains that they were blamed for the failure and that he was demoted from knight to foot soldier. He blames him for his downfall. Kenta understands why bounty hunters have been appearing so frequently. Cyrus admits that he is the one who sent them. He insults the failed hunters and declares that he has brought real bounty hunters this time. He continues his verbal attacks on Kenta. Cyrus orders the bounty hunters to kill him. They all attack together, but none of their attacks reach him. Kenta releases his power and in a single strike cuts off all their heads. Kenta then speaks to Cyrus. He says that constant interruptions have delayed his barrier. He adds that this time has been stolen from the peaceful life he shares with Maylene. He declares that Cyrus will pay for it. Cyrus refuses to back down and continues ordering others to attack. The remaining bounty hunters lose courage and flee instead. Kenta walks towards Cyrus without hesitation. He releases his power and ends his life by severing his head. After the battle, Kenta finally feels relief. He realizes he can now continue the protective barrier without disturbance. At that moment, he senses another presence nearby. He turns and sees familiar figures. They introduce themselves as his friends Ivern and Yuria. They notice the situation and ask about Maylene's condition. Kenta apologizes. He admits he was under pressure and failed to notice them earlier. The scene shifts to the royal palace of the Kingdom of Weimar. The king demands updates about the war. His subordinates report that the battle is balanced. Their army holds strength in numbers and close combat. The enemy dominates in magic. Neither side gains ground. The king becomes frustrated by the repeated reports. He expresses disappointment over failing to secure Kenta's cooperation. He turns to Princess Victoria and reminds her of her promise to persuade Kenta. She had even led knights to him, but returned empty-handed. Victoria apologizes. She explains that Kenta seems to have lost trust in humanity. She believes he would not help them even if begged. The king accepts that relying on Kenta is no longer possible. He decides they must rebuild their strategy completely. Victoria recalls the pressure she felt in front of Kenta. She understands that only those who have faced him can truly comprehend his presence. His cold power feels beyond human limits. She fears that the world may have done something unforgivable to him. She concludes that they must not interfere with him again. Soon she remembers the girl. She decides that the girl must be kept away from this matter. Suddenly, a knight arrives with urgent news. He is assigned to protect Wimble. Victoria immediately asks about her. The knight reports that Lady Wimble has already left to search for the summoned transmigrator. Victoria is left stunned. She realizes the situation has become dangerous. She silently hopes for her sister's safety and fears the consequences that may follow. Lady Wimble follows her knights as they advance deep into the forest. Every attempt to move forward ends the same way. They are forced back to the outside again and again. The knights grow confused and uneasy as they realize they cannot progress at all. The phenomenon feels exactly like labyrinth-style barrier magic once used by demons. Yet none of them have ever heard of such a vast barrier covering an entire region. Wimble quickly understands the situation. Her sister's mistake has put Kenta on full alert. She immediately orders the knights to prepare the anti-barrier artifact. When they ask if she expected this, she replies that caution is always wise. She trusts her judgment more than her sisters. The knights hesitate and question whether such a priceless artifact should be used. Wimble gives the order without hesitation. In her eyes, Kenta has already wasted enough of their time. Once the barrier is broken, she intends to make him listen to everything she has to say. With that determination, she turns her attention to Kenta. Meanwhile, Kenta returns home with his companions and is warmly welcomed by Maylene. During their conversation, Ivern remarks that they passed far more corpses than usual on the way and asks what happened. Kenta explains that the first princess of Weimar came to ask for his help. When he refused, her knights became aggressive and refused to back down. Ivern understands the situation clearly after hearing it. Kenta reflects silently that Ivern and Yuria are the only people he truly considers friends. Both are well-known high-ranking adventurers. Years ago, they tracked his bounty after recognizing him from a wanted poster and attempted to capture him for the reward. Kenta defeated them easily. Later, on impulse, he shared parts of his past with them. After hearing it, they sympathized with him. Over time, they began supporting him in daily life, and a bond formed between them. Now Kenta entrusts them with materials from his monster hunts. Ivern sells them in town and uses the money to buy supplies for Kenta and Maylene. He has effectively become their merchant. Kenta allows him to keep a generous share as payment. Ivern remarks that the Weimar kingdom is at a stalemate with the demons, yet still desperate enough to seek his help. He finds their actions bold and unreasonable. Yuria becomes excited after hearing about Maylene's pregnancy. She warns that if the news spreads, the entire world may fall into chaos and urges them to be careful. Ivern adds that humans may try to use the child against demons, while demons may attempt to claim the child as their future ruler, risking a collapse of the world's balance. Kenta replies with cold certainty that anyone who targets his family will be destroyed without hesitation, whether human or demon. He adds that he is already being merciful by not destroying the world yet. Ivern feels relieved and grateful that Kenta has no intention of world destruction, realizing he could otherwise have become a god of destruction. Kenta dismisses the idea. He admits he has become hardened and distant, but avoids killing unless it is absolutely necessary. Ivern asks if he would kill him if he ever became an enemy. Kenta answers honestly that if Ivern becomes a threat to his family, he will not hesitate. However, as a friend, he would never harm him otherwise. Ivern feels deeply reassured. Kenta then jokes that Ivern has been demoted back to an ordinary traveling merchant. Ivern immediately protests and insists that he is a friend. Yuria laughs and tells Kenta not to bully him. She then teases Kenta, saying the feared summoned hero has completely fallen under Maylene's influence. Kenta replies calmly that he is not controlled and is simply following Maylene's wishes. The group continues light teasing. Ivern then asks seriously whether the Weimar kingdom will send more people. Kenta agrees that it is possible and explains that this is the reason he created a new barrier. He hands him an access permit and explains that it allows passage through the illusion barrier around the house. He then instructs him to channel a small amount of mana into it. Ivern follows his instructions. Kenta observes the process and realizes that every human possesses some mana. The issue is not its absence but poor control in Ivern's case. The activation completes successfully. Kenta explains that the permit is bound to his mana signature. Even if it is stolen, no one else can use it. Ivern is impressed and calls the security flawless. Kenta tells him to wear it whenever he visits. At that moment, Kenta senses a barrier alarm. He immediately investigates and realizes intruders are trying to force their way inside again. Princess Wimble and her group continue their attempts, but the barrier does not break. Their magical tools struggle against its complexity. Wimble concludes that one artifact is not enough and orders additional barrier-breaking relics. The knights warn that these relics are extremely valuable and may affect the war effort. She ignores the warning and accepts the cost. Kenta arrives at the scene and finds the situation absurd. He remarks that they are trying to break in immediately after he completed the barrier, and states that this is not a roadside inn. He admits that it served as a useful test for the barrier, and considers letting them go depending on their explanation. Wimble introduces herself as the second princess of Weimar. Kenta assumes she has come for his power. She confirms her intent. She first apologizes for her sister's behavior, admitting that her sister demanded cooperation without offering any compensation and acknowledging the disrespect. She then explains that he has lived as a fugitive for years, and adds that the kingdom is prepared to revoke his wanted status and grant him freedom. Kenta shows slight surprise. She continues with sympathy, speaking about his difficult life and offering comfort. She reveals that she has brought elite courtesans from Weimar. In her mind, she believes that isolation has made him easy to manipulate through desire. She assumes he will accept and become controllable. Her true goal is power, and she plans to use him to surpass her sister and claim the throne. Kenta immediately sees through her intent. His expression turns cold with disgust. He tells her to take everything and leave immediately. She tries to continue and offers money. He rejects her again and reminds her that he has already refused her sister. He states that he has no intention of solving this world's problems. Wimble blames her sister for the poor negotiation, but Kenta shuts it down. Compensation is irrelevant, and that was never the issue. He states clearly that he does not belong to this world and was brought here against his will. He owes nothing to it. He then orders her to leave once more. She then softens her tone and claims she only wants to heal his suffering. Kenta rejects her instantly, calling her annoying and warning her not to continue. He orders her to leave at once. He makes his final stance clear. He will not negotiate with anyone. He will not save this world and will not interfere in it. He warns them never to return. He then leaves the area. Back at home, his companions ask who tried to break the barrier this time. They are shocked when they learn it was the second princess of Weimar. They understand his refusal but are surprised she was allowed to leave alive. Kenta explains that she had done no harm yet, and killing her would have caused unnecessary trouble. Ivern remarks that rejecting royal envoys twice may bring another. Kenta immediately tells him not to say things that sound like bad omens. The group returns to light conversation and laughter. At the palace, Wimble confronts Victoria and asks if she has fallen for Kenta. Victoria denies it firmly. She reflects on the meeting and notes that Kenta ignored even the finest courtesans. She concludes that Kenta already has someone important in his life. Wimble realizes the truth behind her sister's actions. They conclude that traditional methods will not work. Wimble suggests capturing someone close to him. She identifies that person as his key weakness. Several weeks later, Ivern rushes to Kenta with urgent news. Yuria is busy removing bounty posters in town, so he arrives first. He shows a new wanted notice. It offers a massive reward for capturing Kenta. It also gives priority to capturing his lover alive. The order is issued directly by the Kingdom of Weimar.
Here I am, know it's been a while. I was in denial about my love. Here I stand, I know I walked away. Had to find the person